All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay. Welcome to the People's Building still. I'm very, very excited to be standing here with Chief Sheila Dillon, with colleagues from the City Council, Councillor Lydia Edwards, Councillor Kenzie Bach, with our BHA Director and Administrator, Kate Bennett, and so many advocates and leaders in our communities whom you will hear from shortly, standing up here but also in the audience, who have been fighting the fight for housing affordability and the stabilization of our communities for a long time. Today, I want to give just a quick update on where we are in terms of big picture planning and thinking for our housing agenda, including some steps that will kick off in the new year. So first, again, I actually should mention Chief Sheila Dillon's new title, which is Chief of our newly renamed Mayor's Office of Housing, formerly known as the Department of Neighborhood Development. And thank you also to Vanessa Calderon from Inquilinos Boricuas en Acción, Mimi Ramos from New England United for Justice, Cortina Van of the Massachusetts Affordable Housing Alliance, and I don't see Dwayne here actually, okay, and others who are here with us. I see Andres in the audience, I see Rich Giordano, and many friends who are watching on our live stream as well. All the leaders here have played a key role in helping to create, set the agenda that we are following, and to preserve affordable housing in the City of Boston, and they'll continue to be critical partners in the work ahead. The cost of housing is among the biggest barriers to being able to stay and thrive in our city, and it is the #1 concern I hear from our residents day in and day out. Today, we're sharing a big picture overview on our plan to increase affordable housing in Boston. First, we will be launching a study of the existing inclusionary development program requirements and market conditions that will examine how Boston can achieve or exceed 20% affordability in new construction, up from the current level of 13%. Our administration will also consider executive action in the new year alongside this study to reduce the number of units that trigger affordability rules and deepen the affordability levels that are required. Secondly, we're also launching a study of linkage fees as required by state law that will assess the capacity to increase funding for affordable housing and workforce training from new development, including from lab space and lab development in our city. The goal is to ensure that the wealth and opportunity in the city is shared by all, and that our growth sustains and stabilizes our communities. Our city teams have also begun a comprehensive audit of city-owned properties to identify opportunities to develop supportive housing and affordable housing throughout Boston, leveraging all of what we own and can put on the table for affordable housing. And this will be completed within the first 100 days of our administration. I want to thank Chief Dillon, Administrator Bennett, and so many others who have been working hard this holiday season to find supportive housing across the city and to take swift action to address the crises centered at Mass and Cass, along other issues. Now, here is an exciting one to have my council colleagues and sisters in service flanking me, because next month, I'm proud to announce, we'll also file an updated home rule petition for a transfer fee on real estate sales above $2 million, generating new, sustainable resources to address our housing crisis over the long term. And it is really thanks to the leadership of my colleagues on the council who have championed this term after term that we will be picking up the charge here. The home rule petition will also include property tax relief for seniors who are longtime owner-occupants in our neighborhoods. Finally, in the new year, we will be forming a rent stabilization advisory group to study local housing conditions and rent stabilization policies in other cities, and then make recommendations to our office and the Mayor's Office of Housing in particular in preparation for a potential home rule petition in the new legislative session on Beacon Hill. Together, these actions will help us move with urgency towards creating a more affordable city where our working families can stay in their neighborhoods. Now I'm excited to introduce Chief of Housing Sheila Dillon to expand on these steps and why they are so urgently needed in our city.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for your leadership on this issue. I'm really excited. I'm excited about the name change, but I'm more excited about the agenda. And it's wonderful, and the Mayor's mentioned it, but we're joined here by a lot of housing colleagues that have worked for years, if not decades, to make Boston a more affordable, more welcoming, more equitable city. So I'm glad that you're here. You know, I was thinking about it this morning as many of us celebrate holidays in the next several weeks. We are comfortably housed, right? We are comfortably housed. We own our home where we can easily afford the rent. And there are many, many families, seniors, and others that are worried about being evicted, that are in homeless shelters, etc. And I think it is a good time to make these announcements as we look forward to the new year. So the Mayor's Office of Housing is really excited to work on changes to the IDP policy. And we're going to, it's already halfway drafted, but we're going to issue a study in January, probably mid-January, on how best to increase the IDP requirements so that more of our residents can be assisted. The results of the study, and this is important, will be made public and will be the foundation of productive conversations and decisions. And I know the research behind these decisions and how the study is conducted is important to all of you. So I really want to tell you now that the Mayor's made it very clear she wants these results to be transparent. Linkage, we will also oversee the administration of the linkage study, not only to determine whether the city should require more funding from our commercial developers, but also examine other factors, including whether the city should lower the square footage threshold that triggers linkage payments, the required timing of the linkage payments, should we get the money sooner, and whether lab developments have unique financial conditions that would allow them to pay more. As was mentioned in January, we will announce a rent stabilization committee. I think it's going to be the most sought after committee that we've ever had in the city. And we're going to examine very, very closely the issue, best practice and what would work in Boston, and make our best thinking and recommendations known to the Mayor. We look forward to beginning this important work. And also in January, a draft of the new transfer fee that the Mayor mentioned. So in closing, I want to just take a minute to thank the staff at the Mayor's Office of Housing and the other departments of the city that have worked for years on our housing affordability issues. You've done so much good work, and because of your work, there are so many in the city that are safely housed this holiday. And so I just want to take a minute not to say that your work is so valued. And with these tools that we're discussing today, we could collectively do so much more. So I am so excited to get going. Rest up. It's going to be a busy January, and I'm just thrilled to work with all of you on these initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Now I'd like to invite up Councillors Lydia Edwards and Kenzie Bach to share a few words.
Hello, everyone. I just really want to thank Mayor Wu for announcing these important steps today, and say that I think every one of them has been a long time coming, and every one of them, as has been said already, has been advocated for by a whole lot of people who are standing in this room right now, and a bunch of people who are watching on the live stream and elsewhere. And I think it's just so key that we recognize that the will is there for housing in our city. As the Mayor said, it's the thing that is on everyone's lips when you talk to members of the public, but the will isn't enough without resources. And so I think, the through line that runs through the Mayor's announcements today is the need to marshal more resources for housing, and also to recognize with the survey of city public land that one of the resources we need for housing is places to put the housing that can house our whole community at every level with all the services required. And so the city really has a dual role, both in marshaling financial resources, but also in finding the places and having inclusive communities across the city. And so I'm so honored to stand here with the mayor and with Administrator Bennett and Chief Dillon. It's great to have a mayor's office of housing, and it's something that I've been so proud to work on extensively with my colleague and the chair to my vice chair on the housing committee of the council, Councilor and nearly Senator-elect Lydia Edwards.
This is a very emotional and incredible day for a lot of us in the work, and I just look at the incredible people in this moment representing city government and advocacy, and I'm not going to lie, I do smile a little, especially because, ladies, we got it done. No offense to the guys. Anyway, the fact of the matter is, this is a moment and a movement that have finally come together, and we know that we still have to get over the finish line. What the mayor has announced is finally the direction and the moral certitude coming together, saying that we are putting housing first. It is not about developing the city, it is about housing people in the city. And the two are not mutually exclusive, but they have, for some reason, not been meeting each other. Despite the amount of new units that we have put on into tens of thousands, we have not been able to house a majority of people, working people in Boston. And what I see in these initiatives and these studies is not more conversation. I see directed action, I see deadlines that matter, and I see them being informed by the very people who are impacted by them. So thank you, Mayor Wu. Thank you for your bold action, and you're stepping in right away. And I know with the stroke of a pen, we're going to create an IDP policy that works. With a stroke of the pen, we're going to make sure our linkage is actually extracting the real amount of money from developers and from commercial properties. With the stroke of the pen, we're going to send up another transfer fee, and I hope to catch it on the other side and get it done. With the stroke of a pen, we're going to be talking about rent stabilization and supporting already pending state law and looking at our condo conversion laws. Thank you again for your leadership, Chief Dillon, on that, because we've increased our protections already. What we've seen is we've been chomping at the bit in the city of Boston, and we need to take it all the way to the State House to make sure this city is housing the people of Boston. I have to say thank you to these incredible advocates who I've known since I was a legal services attorney and an organizer. I have to say thank you to my friend and neighbor Andreas Castillo and City Life Vida Urbana. I have to say thank you to Right to the City Vote. I have to say thank you to so many incredible people, BIPOC people, working people, all who have been part of these conversations for decades. But most importantly, my thanks and my heart is filled with so much joy at this bold leadership from this mayor, my mayor, our mayor, Mayor Wu. Thank you.
Thanks, Lydia. Okay, let me double check my timing here. Okay, now I'll pass it over to Vanessa Calderon, Executive Director of Inquilinos Boricuas en Acción.
Good morning. Buenos dias. My name is Vanessa Calderon Rosado. I am Chief Executive Officer of IBA, Inquilinos Boricuas en Acción, a community development corporation in Boston's South End. And I'm here this morning excited and thrilled for the mayor's announcement promising that 2022 and beyond is going to be an important year for housing. Now, let's be clear, and you heard it before, housing is in crisis. It's a crisis in our city and our region. We all recognize that, and beyond these doors, you talk to people and they talk about the same thing. Housing is an issue. This is an opportunity to solve this problem. I also believe that we all can agree that we can solve the housing crisis in the city of Boston. And the announcements that our mayor is making today is precisely the kind of moves that we need to solve the problem. The Boston Committee of the Massachusetts Association of Community Development Corporations have been meeting for decades, just struggling and tackling the housing issues across our city. Recently, and right after the election, the Boston Committee of MACDC wrote a letter to our mayor precisely talking about these particular issues that she's announcing today to tackle and to solve. So we are very excited to hear all the measures around linkage, around IDP, the studies, because we need to make sure that these figures and statistics cannot be refuted. We need the studies and the research so they're backed and there's evidence that we can develop in our city and also solve the affordable housing crisis. So as a public-private partnership, CDCs across the city stand behind our mayor, behind the new Office for Housing, behind Boston Housing Authority, our city council, and all of our colleagues and advocates to solve the problem of housing in our city for one and for all. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor Wu, for your leadership. Thank you, and have a good day, and happy holidays. Let's get started, and let's get it done in 2022. Thank you.
Next up, Mimi Ramos, Executive Director at New England United for Justice.
You know, I didn't prepare a speech. I was very excited about what I heard in terms of the direction that our new mayor wants to take our housing agenda. I'm very excited and honored to stand here with this group of very powerful women. And what I would just acknowledge is that we have an invitation at the table. It's an invitation for ideas. It's an invitation for advocacy and a vision around housing that we can bring to life. And it's an invitation to center the voices of residents most impacted by this housing crisis, as well as housing advocates and land experts and development experts to talk about what the future of our city can bring. So I am excited to be at this table to invite us all to continue to support the mayor and her vision around housing, and a vision that I know we've been waiting for a very long time. So yes, January is going to be busy, but we are excited to be here in partnership and yes, to get the job done, because many of us know that housing is a human right, that our communities deserve the right to remain in their neighborhoods, and we are here to get down to business. Thank you, everyone. Happy holidays.
And next we'll bring up Cortina Van of the Massachusetts Affordable Housing Alliance.
Thank you so much, Mayor Wu and Chief Housing, Sheila Dillon. I thank you all for the opportunity to be here with you today. My name is Cortina Van from MAHA, Massachusetts Affordable Housing Alliance. And I am elated, we are elated at MAHA and through the neighborhoods as a resident here in Boston for Mayor Wu's announcement of the study and the announcement for all that has been shared with you today. Linkage is a shorthand definition of development impact fee that affects, development impact fee that imposes concerns for an increase, and I'm so sorry, I gotta take this off. I apologize, I'm feeling strangled by it. So as I'm so sorry, development impact fee that is concerned about displacement and the pressure of housing that affects low to moderate income residents, and it's supposed to mitigate that. And so it's exciting to have the proposal of this study because it needs to be increased. We know that folks are affected in a great way. Part of what we've been working on for some time is to increase that, and it's exciting that with linkage it can bring in an increase of jobs, and having more jobs is wonderful, but we have to, with this linkage, simultaneously increase the affordable housing, and the linkage is a tool to do that, so that alleviates where we have new people coming here, and also for folks who are here, residents in Boston, to be able to alleviate the housing needs. We see every day at our organization and with many of our partners, we have hundreds of people applying for one unit. And so with this initiative, we want to increase the linkage. And it's exciting to see this going to happen. We know that this can be essential to helping to meet the needs. I know that we are excited about the initiative, and part of the work, there was a study that was commissioned by the city, and it demonstrated that the fee is too low. And so there's an opportunity to increase that can help so many families. I know that we are very elated and excited to continue to work with Mayor Wu, and we look forward to doing that. And I thank you very much for the opportunity to be here. I'm a little bit nervous today. But it means so much because there's so many people as a resident and people that I work for and members who want to stay here and remain in the city. And I know that this can be a vehicle that can help so many families be able to stay here and not get displaced. We are in full agreement with Mayor Wu that development can help to benefit residents and not displace people from their homes. So I am just excited to have that opportunity to be here to elate that and continue the work. And I thank all my colleagues in the housing community, all our elected officials for all the hard work that you've put in. And I'm ready to go along with all our MAHA members, so thank you.
Thank you so much, Cortina. Okay, before we get into questions, unas palabras especialmente para nuestros residentes que hablan español. Es un honor estar con esas líderes de nuestra comunidad, oficiales electas y activistas de nuestras comunidades y barrios para anunciar unas noticias sobre aumentar los recursos para la vivienda asequibles y para altar el desplazamiento de nuestras comunidades. Primero, lanzamos unos esfuerzos para estudiar la conexión entre el desarrollo de nuestra ciudad y los recursos que necesitan nuestras comunidades en el linkage y el programa de desarrollo inclusivo de Boston. Segundo, podemos lanzar una legislación nueva en el Beacon Hill para crear recursos también en transfer fee de viviendas sobre más de $2 millones. Tercero, voy a formar un grupo advisorio sobre estabilización de las rentas en Boston con el objetivo de crear las recomendaciones para legislación en el nivel estatal en enero de 2023 y entonces para estudiar todos los esfuerzos en otros estados, otras ciudades sobre la estabilización de la renta. Y finalmente voy a completar un análisis de las propiedades de gobierno municipal para crear e identificar las oportunidades de usar los edificios municipales para crear viviendas asequibles también. Es muy importante en ese momento crítico para la ciudad de Boston. La vivienda asequible tiene que ser la fundación de nuestra recuperación. Entonces, gracias a todos los líderes aquí y todos los líderes en nuestras comunidades para su activismo hace muchos años antes de ese momento. Anyone want to add anything en español? Did you say something?
El nuevo nombre.
Sí. Es muy importante también. El nuevo nombre de nuestro departamento es el Departamento de la Vivienda, no solamente del desarrollo de nuestros barrios. Okay. All right. Questions? Yep, sorry, I missed the last part, Sean. What would we be looking to drop it to? So we're looking at that alongside, in parallel with efforts to officially launch the study. Separate from that, there are actions that could be taken by executive order to drop that from triggering at 10 units to something much lower, whether it's 5, 6, something that we see proliferating throughout our neighborhoods. You could look at any ZBA agenda, and there are so many 9-unit proposals because people know that, or developers realize that there's a strict cutoff there. And so as we're looking at infill development in our neighborhoods and the opportunity to really link resources that are badly needed with the growth and development of our communities, that is one option that we're analyzing very closely.
It's been a day now since you announced your cabinet mandate, sorry to change the topic. Just wanted to get your reaction. There's been mixed reaction from businesses and Reddit platforms to the challenges facing Indians. What's your response to that? If you can talk to any of these folks, seen anything?
Yeah, it's been a great day. I've had the chance to hear from so many Boston residents and businesses and leaders in our community. Overwhelmingly, it's been relief that I've heard that there are now clear rules and parameters that can help level the playing field and make sure everybody's on the same page. I wish we were taking these actions faster. I know we are in the midst of a surge right now, but we're moving as quickly as we can, and we will work hand in hand with all of our businesses and affected organizations to ensure that we're providing the signage, training, and direct conversations. Today there will be a webinar, our first webinar with small businesses, to ensure that everybody is clear on what the resources are that are available to support this. We're also launching weekly open sessions with various department heads within the City of Boston internally to make sure that we can talk through any questions. And so this is a very intense period of sharing all the information possible so that everybody can move quickly in a very supported way. Some of the hardest decisions we make are the most important ones to make, and we see a lot of emotion around many issues, but oftentimes emotion is also tied to feeling confusion or unpredictability. So one important step that is part of leading the way and coordinating with our regional partners and cities across Massachusetts is to provide that clarity, provide that predictability for everyone.
What do you think of the governor's move this morning to have a statewide mask recommendation indoors, South Georgia mandate recommendation as the international bar?
In Boston, we have a mask mandate in place, and it's very important that we continue to take precautions headed into the holiday season. And so I'm happy that cities have the ability to go above and beyond what the state is doing. Great. Okay, thank you, everyone.